The safety of children in childcare shot into the news last week with the arrest of Joshua Brown on shocking charges of abuse. Now, a survey of childhood educators found 77% say they're operating below minimum staffing requirements every week. Carolyn Smith, Early Education Director at United Workers Union, joins me now. Carolyn, thank you for your time. Can you start by telling us how it's possible for centres to be able to operate below minimum standards of staffing?
Yeah, look, it's pretty shocking, and I think those numbers are absolutely shocking and would really surprise many in the community. I think there's two things going on here. One is that centres are using a legal loophole. So essentially they are counting staff who aren't in the room with the children for their ratios. So they might count a director who's working in their office. They may count another staff member who's in another room, and they essentially average out the ratios across the entire centre. But that doesn't really help for the children who are in the room and where they don't have that same ratio of staff.
So what sort of effect does that have on the children as far as you're concerned?
Look, there's a whole number of things, and we know that, what you need is time. You need time with children to build that really incredible bond, that emotional connection, so they feel safe, so they can learn and grow and flourish. So, that's the first thing that goes, that emotional safety. But then obviously just that ability to supervise children, to make sure they're not going to hurt themselves. And, I think this week has really highlighted that we need that supervision and all those eyes to make sure that they're safe.
And we're hearing from the union, from various unions and different organisations, part of the issue at the moment is recruiting staff. Do you think the effect of incidents like last week put people off becoming early childhood educators?
Look, I think it's a really tough time for the sector, absolutely. It's a tough time for parents, it's a tough time for educators. We have seen, certainly the federal government announced last year really significant pay increases for educators. That's made a big difference in terms of attracting and keeping staff into the sector. But yeah, look, there's no doubt everyone's feeling a bit bruised after last week.
We've also heard about the push to have CCTV made mandatory here in Victoria, as it's starting to become in New South Wales. G8, which was one of the largest companies involved in the childhood sector, says it is putting in CCTV. What's your view on that?
Look, I think we all want children to be safe, and we all have to look at everything we can to make children safer. We just have to make sure that in the rush to do that, there's not unintended consequences. And the questions we would have about that is really about, the fact that across 17,000 centres across Australia, children being filmed at all times. How do we make sure that vision is safe? How do we make sure those thousands of images of children don't fall into the wrong hands? If banks can be hacked, if Qantas can be hacked, and they have the highest level of security, how do we make sure those images of children are safe?
A lot of questions, and we're still waiting for many answers. Carolyn, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Carolyn Smith from the United Workers Union.